Well, I think last week was as clean a game as we've played, I think, as a team. And that was, something that had to be done. I just mean that offensively, defensively, special teams, penalties-wise, just really, really clean. We knew defensively we had to be, sound, disciplined and aggressive, and we were. Offensively, we knew we had to, be very efficient in what we were doing. It was going to be a battle of the, time of possession that obviously maybe leads the league in. And so you got to be real efficient when you have the ball and taking every opportunity that you get. And, to come out of the game to say, hey, you were very efficient in what you did, you were very disciplined in what you did defensively, obviously gave us the opportunity to play the way we did. The whole key for the week was about finish. Some people are like, finish? Well, what do you mean? You had to stop the option. No, finish. Whether it was defensively, you had to finish every play. Last year, way too many guys on the ground. Guys, in there on the quarterback when the ball's being pitched outside, just the ability defensively to finish to the ball. Every single guy on their feet, running inside out the football. You're not going to be perfect when you're playing the option. There's going to be a pitch out there. There's going to be a guy on a pitch guy, and you got to have some people running inside out. You got to have some help all over the place. So the ability for us to really finish defensively was huge, and then offensively we knew finish was going to be key. The ability to finish in the red zone. We could not settle for field goals. In a game when you're playing Navy, they're as efficient as any team in the country, and especially in the red zone. They score touchdowns. And so offensively, our whole mindset was, hey, how do we finish? The last SMU week, we didn't finish very well in the red zone. We were going to be aggressive again. I know you would have probably asked me about it a few times, but if we had those opportunities in the red zone again, we were going to go for them. We weren't going to settle for field goals, because I think when you're playing a team, especially like Navy, that you really can't settle for field goals. And obviously, the way things turned out and the way we played, 5 touchdowns in the first 5 drives, obviously it was really efficient what we were doing, and the ability to finish was unbelievable. But now we got to move on. I think sometimes the toughest thing is not just the Navy week, but it's the week after Navy. And I don't just mean defensively. Obviously defensively you're completely different. You had to kind of switch modes in a lot of things that you're doing. And now to get yourself back into the mode of playing a spread offense, playing speed and athletes all over the place is just different. But it's also different for the offense. Last week was unique in the sense that they completely got out of their routine. We didn't go against offense and defense one time all week. It's totally separate. You're against scout team all week, so even offensively it's tough to maybe be as efficient, as sharp as you are, because you don't really even play at the speed of the game because you're going against scout team all week. And now we will jump back into South Florida week where we're trying to get back into our routine of how we practice on a Tuesday, going offense versus defense, inside drill, 7-on-7s and things like that. So it's still a little bit of a change in the ability for us to be able to bounce back and know this is a new week, and you got to get back into the routines and the way we do things for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Obviously, you wanted to be aggressive at the point of attack, but your defensive line made half of the stops. Can you tell me about their performance? And
well, I said last year, the inside guys last year, even in the game where it was as bad as it was, they played well. They did a good job. I mean, they did their job. If you can find any bit of positives from the year before's game, this year was even different. The ability for Cortez to make 10 tackles or whatever it is that he had, just the ability to be aggressive inside. I don't know that they always can account for that. Those guys are supposed to be sealed off. They're going to option. They're going to run away from them. But when you have the ability for those guys to do what it is they did, to make the tackles that they did, I think really puts a burden on those guys. Everybody knows the ball's going to be on the edge. You're going to run the triple. It's going to be dished out. But to even see the defensive ends, the discipline that they had to make some of the tackles that they made, you could look back at the stats last year. And I know last year doesn't matter, but I'm not sure that there were too many tackles by any defensive lineman. So I think that when you play one of those, even though you just got to be disciplined and do what you do up front with those guys, the ability for those guys to make the plays that they did, I think really changes the game big time.
Who gets credit for the idea of playing 4-4? You give that to Marcus, or was that you? Or
well, I don't do a whole lot. I didn't do a whole lot. We obviously we spent a lot of time, in the off season, and just trying to say, hey, how do we play much more efficient? I've played them 3 times, 4 times now. Never once have we played that efficient. And I don't mean there's anything perfect. I just mean that I think the ability for those guys to figure out a way to simplify it defensively, because you're going to play within a week. And I just think from what I'd done in the past and what we did this year, the simplicity allowed those guys to play a lot more aggressive and a lot faster. And, it still comes down to execution. Everything on paper looks good. I promise you, last year's idea and scheme and what we had on paper looked really good. Here's how you stop every single thing. But they've got an answer for everything. I think to get off on the right foot to start with, I think is a completely different ballgame. Now you're playing from ahead as opposed to guessing so much. And, so I think that the whole group in general spent a lot of time in the offseason. It was a challenge that I had given them. And so there's a lot of people I'm sure they would give some credit to and pick the brains of, and but to come up with the way they did things and then to execute it is, that's on them. They did an unbelievable job.
So you're coming into this game up here after you're against the U.S. Sevens coming from an unexpected loss they had. How much do you have to coach the psyche of the football team this week, knowing you're here, they're there, and they're going to
Our whole focus and everything has always been about us. There's plenty of motivation. I get this pop on the film from last year. I don't think we'd worry one bit about the psyche of what they have. I know our 18 to 22-year-olds don't. And that's since we started camp. I said it's always going to be about us. We're going to worry about us. We'll obviously go and figure out what it is that they're doing and have our preparation offensively, defensively, and special teams. But as far as the psyche of what it is that they are, this is a big game. It's going to be a big game. They're going to walk in here, whether they played great last week or not. They're going to walk in here in an atmosphere that's going to be really electric, and I think they're going to play their butts off. And so we got to challenge them. We got to be able to match that. And so we just worry about ourselves and preparing ourselves and making sure we learn from the mistakes and the things that happened last year. I think there's plenty of motivation for us to focus on ourselves and not have to worry about them a whole lot.
The position your team is in now in the standings, if you're in a pretty decent spot, how much does that motivate the team to kind of keep going?
It's big time. You got to play great in November if you want a chance to win championships. I had a coach for 10 years that said, hey, all that stuff in the beginning is great, but if you're gonna win championships, you got to play great in November. And there's a lot of different ways of doing that. And obviously, build the thing the way you need to be built, but you want to put yourself in position. I think that's where we've never said what is our goal. I've never said it publicly. We know, as a team, we've talked about during camp what we want to accomplish this year. But really, we talked about putting ourselves in position. Never really just say, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to win a championship. We're going to put ourselves in position to play for championships. And, I think that's what the guys are most excited about. It's November. They put themselves in position to play for championships, but they can't worry about anything other than one day at a time, 1 week at a time, continue to do what it is they've done.
Even acknowledging that last season's different and the Navy game doesn't mean as much as what you guys did this season. Just seeing how stark of a difference it was in how efficient you were, is that surprising, impressive, or did you expect that?
I wish you had told me that. I wish I'd have known that on Tuesday. But no, I think college football in general, everything's about momentum, and it's about energy. And when you got it, you got to find a way to keep it. And I think that's what we've continued to do this entire season, whether we've had a hiccup at Temple or not. It still wasn't something where the guys lost their mind, they lost their cool of any sorts. The maturity has really, really grown, and I think that's what week in and week out that we've had a chance to do is to continue to build upon the positive momentum. And I think that's what you're happiest about. Did you play perfect? I mean, we played pretty well last week. On both sides of the ball, special teams as well. And I'm talking not perfect. I'm just talking clean. I'm talking pre-snap penalties, post-snap penalties. I'm talking in and out of huddles. All those kinds of things that give you a chance to be successful. And I think that's what you're seeing the growth of. So you don't just pinpoint one thing. You can't just say, well, hey, we lost at Temple, and that's because we played too. No, we played pretty darn well. We're mature enough now to figure out where those places we didn't play well enough to give us a chance to win. We didn't play great at SMU. We played well enough to win, and now we're mature enough to find the places we can do to get better, so we can go out and hopefully perform like we did last week.
When you got this job 23 months ago, there was a lot of talk about Nippert Stadium and what it was like when it was full and the team was winning and there was energy. You got a pretty good taste of that last Saturday. This Saturday at night, probably even more. What was that like for you?
Well, again, I've been fortunate to be in a lot of great environments, home and away. I love it. I think it's great, but I'm most excited for our players. And I don't know. Again, some guys have been here for 5 years and they've seen it like that. But there's a lot of guys that haven't. And and to be able to go out there and to have that kind of buzz that we had last week, the kind of buzz we're going to have this week, I think that's what college football is all about. And so I'm so excited for those guys to have an opportunity to get to play in that kind of atmosphere. And yeah, it picks up your game. Yeah, it puts a little bit more on your plate. But I think that's what this thing's all about. And building it and doing it the right way. And it's not just about promotion. Well, these guys, we did a great job of promoting the game. That's why they were there. No, it's because those players have done an unbelievable job of playing. They put all their hard work on display on Saturdays, and people have recognized it. So so it's a tribute to them, really. And I know they love it. I know that they are proud. I think that hopefully that they acknowledge the student body and obviously our community for what it is that they provided for them. We just got to keep it going.
Is it especially gratifying, satisfying, encouraging for you to see a young team playing in a big game last week against such a unique opponent, that they're so locked in and focused, that they played so well in all three phases?
It is, and to be honest, it's very gratifying, and try not to be selfish, but there is a point in time when you just, like I said, grab Coach Freeman afterwards or Coach Denbrock and just thank them for how they prepared their guys and the efficiency that they did. But I think it's even more gratifying to hear like Cortez Rotten go in afterwards and acknowledge the entire scout team. And no, he wasn't prepped to do that. No, I didn't say, hey, now make sure you say thank you to Kyle Bowen and those scout guys. It's like a parent. You start to, what you preach day in and day out, all of a sudden you start to hear your guys repeating it. And all of a sudden you're like, wow, it's really sinking in. It's not just a phrase on the wall. It's not just, a plaque or a poster we put up. These guys are actually hearing this. It's sinking in. It's stuck in their hearts. And, when they have an opportunity to speak, they're relaying the messages that the whole program's going on.
It's going to be forecasts for cold weather. You're playing a Florida team. Does that give you an edge, or how much of that is net?
I think they talked about putting the bubble up over top so we can keep it nice and warm, like at 70. So I don't know if we can get it done for this week. It's a short amount of time, but we're going to try to make the playing field as even as possible and get this thing heated up around here. I don't know. I mean, again, if you let it affect your mind, I tell you this, it could be 10 degrees, it could be 5 degrees. If you've got the momentum and you've got the energy because you're running down the field and scoring or you're stopping them on defense, I don't care whether you're from South Florida or you're from Alaska, it doesn't bother you nearly as much. But if things don't go your way, then you're darn right that whether it's the cold, whether it's the rain, whether it's the heat, we went to the SMU and played in the 85-degree heat, which probably was about 90-some on the turf that day. And, we hadn't seen that kind of weather since camp. So was it a disadvantage to us? I don't know if you allow it to be. Again, those are those things that we don't have a whole lot of control over. So don't spend a whole lot of time worrying about it.
The Perry Young injury came on one of those Navy chop blocks that you knew you were going to see. You talk about different things that have been put in place to safety of players and quarterbacks and things like that. I'm curious what you thought about that play and where that fits into that.
No, I think it's a problem with our game, and it's just the time and the place sometimes to get up on that. But the off season is going to be a big push by me to. I try to show the officials before the game, and they can't make it's hard to make a real clear, well, that's legal or it's illegal, and there's an exact example of things that we got to get out of the game. The ability for guys to to do what happened. It's if that's a wide receiver, or that's a quarterback, then I mean the whole game was press pause and probably got the NFL commissioner down here and things like that because it's a guy that everybody sees and focuses on. But when you're inside that box and some things, there's some things I know as a coach. I have an obligation, just like I said probably 4 years ago when we switched the way we tackled. I said I have an obligation to make this game better. I got 5 boys that are going to play this game. And they're not going to be quarterbacks. They're probably not going to be wide receivers either. So I might need to help them, to be able to have some longevity in this. I don't have quite the genetics that some of our famous colleagues have to produce some wide receivers and things like that. But I really do believe that there's not a place for it, and I don't think it's really easy to officiate because the rule is too gray, and I don't like it. I don't think it's right. We had one, to be honest with you, we had one that should be a penalty as well, that I complained about happening against OU, and I went right into it and said, this is not how we block. We got to make sure we're not doing this because it's not the right for the game. So whether it's illegal or it's legal, you know, there's a lot of discrepancy. It's wrong. And I think that we got to do a better job as coaches in football in general in making sure that, hey, we're going to make this game better. We're going to make it better for everybody.
There's video out of what happened to Perry and what happened last week to Ed Oliver. Do you think that maybe gives some
Yeah, I
back to
hope
it?
it does. I just, you know, it's not. I don't want to say we're going to make it a disadvantage to guys who run the option. No, I want to make this a great game, and I think that each and every year we're going to find ways to make the game better. And you know, they've tried, and sometimes you think you make it better, and really you just make it more difficult for even the officials to officiate because they can't call it. You know, it's obviously a lot easier to see a targeting because it's a focal point. You know, it's a lot easier to see a hit on a quarterback because it's a focal point. It's not as easy to see a hit on a linebacker inside or on a defensive lineman like Ed Oliver, but nonetheless, they all are things we don't need in the game. And, you know, when the time is right, we need to do a lot better job at making sure that, you know, we're giving the officials the opportunity, and then we're teaching and coaching it the right way, too, to make this game right.
You have any updates on how his surgery went or anything like that?
No, I mean, I'm not sure who's going to run around out there this week. You know, I don't know. Perry's a pretty remarkable kid, and I wouldn't put anything past him, but my guess is he probably won't be able to make the game this week.
Speaking of, any update on Garrett Campbell?
No. I mean, again, he's very positive. He's very upbeat. You know, he wants to run around out there today, and we'll see how he feels.
Michael Bourne is on the verge of 1,000 yards. How significant is that, and how is he holding up this late in the year?
I think he's done a good job, obviously. You know, obviously he didn't play much in the second half, didn't play at all, other than one carry or one play in the second half last week. But you know, Mike's built for this. Mike's built for November. You know, and I mean that just, that's the kind of tough, hard-nosed football player he is. He's a little bit more trained. He's had the fortunes of playing 14 games every year in high school. You know, going to the state championship every year for I think 3 years in a row. So, you know, I think that it gives him an opportunity to understand that, you know, November is where the game is really won, and you got to take care of yourself. So he's put himself in a great position. You know, he's helped us a lot, and we're going to need him. We're going to need him here in November.
How important has it been that Charles has also been able to step up and give him a breather and make some big plays
It's
on top
such a
of it?
unique position that you got to have other guys going in. To lose Dokes the way we lost him, to have Charles step up, to have Tavion as a guy that stepped up too. And you know, we're going to need. It can't just be Mike. You know, as tough and as strong as he is, and you know, as built for this kind of, you know, November as he is, you're not going to be able to do it alone. We're going to have to rely a lot on both Chuck and Tavion, and that's not easy. You know, especially as freshmen, because late in the year as freshmen is the most difficult time. You know, everything that just piled upon them, you know, week 10, week 11, week 12, whether it's, well, he hasn't carried the ball a lot, I know, but he's been at practice every single day with wear and tear, mentally more than physically, you know, from school and everything that's just different in your first year. You know, those guys have come a long way, and we're going to be able to continue to grow. Thanks.